AI. It's a hot topic and it's on everyone's lips. And as the months go by, we're seeing AI show up more and more in different spaces. And the question is moving away from whether you use AI to how do you use AI? And I know that there are some women who are fully embracing AI and really digging in and exploring the different way that it can be used. And then there are others who are just scratching the surface with just opening up a ChatGPT account and just doing a little bit of searching and prompting that way. So I think it's important for us to have conversations and understand what the landscape is and some of the interesting things that are happening in the AI space. So today I am bringing to you a conversation that I had with the founder of Ignitus. We did a LinkedIn live conversation and I wanted to bring the conversation here to the podcast because it's going to be great for you to hear some of the ways that AI is being used within organizations to provide support for new managers who are having to navigate the challenges that come with that position. And this platform is brilliant. I had the opportunity to contribute some of the content to the back end of the platform and work alongside Ben and his team to train the AI, and so that people are able to use the AI tool to get real time support when they are in a situation where they need it. So I'm excited about what is being built and I'm excited for you to hear about it. Welcome to the Career Changemaker podcast. Do you want clear direction about your next chapter, but find yourself overthinking every move and worrying about getting it wrong? If so, you're in the right place. Hey, I'm Janine Esbrand, corporate lawyer turned career coach, keynote speaker, and mother of two. And I've discovered how to gain real career clarity and build an impactful career on my terms without sacrificing security or burning out. If you're ready for aligned career options, confident decisions, and work that protects your peace, close that comparison tab on LinkedIn, grab your notebook, and let's dive in. We just launched a brand new community called the Career Navigator Network. This is a space for mid-career women who are focusing on redesigning their careers and figuring out what is next. It's a private space hosted on WhatsApp where you can come and ask questions and learn and connect with other people who are in a similar season to you, people that understand why you might be choosing to do something different or change the way you're doing things, even though on paper your career looks fantastic. This is a space where you're going to have dedicated channels to discuss the different types of career transitions that you may be contemplating or going through. And it's also a space where we're going to be discussing the weekly topic from the podcast. So we get to continue the conversation, you get to ask any questions, and you get to connect with other people. It's a free community. I'm excited to welcome you in. If you want to be in, come and join us. Go to careerchangemakers.com/community and you will be able to fill in a quick form and get the link to join us over in the network. So before we dive into this conversation, do you want to start by just introducing yourself to the audience, tell them a bit about you and your background?
Sure. Well, my name is Ben Husser. I'm CEO here at Ignitus. Still a pretty young startup. We've been here for about a year and a bit more on the market, and we're providing AI coaching services to managers in the workplace, which is obviously a terrible place to be. So we thought it might be helpful. I don't know if you agree.
I totally agree. in the coaching work that I do, I see often that manager piece, that level is where people feel like they're not equipped. They may be technically brilliant, which is why they got promoted and got put into that position. But as a new manager, you go from just having to know your technical side of things to, oh, now I need to manage people. And that managing people side can be really tricky and really challenging. So I think definitely a need in terms of, I'm excited for us to dive into how you're thinking about the landscape right now, and then we can dig into Ignitus a bit and how that all came about. So let's kind of just start with, How and why did you get started? So what were you noticing in the marketplace? What was the reason that you felt like this solution was needed?
Well, ironically, I didn't go at it from a business plan perspective. It kind of started all out of a personal story. And I guess it started out, yes, in my first job, really, because I was very, very lucky. And my first job was intern to a CEO. And a few months later, that CEO became my mentor, and I became his chief of staff. It was at Euronews, which was at the time the number one news channel in Europe. So a very fast-paced environment as well. And my first experience of the workplace has been with the guidance and mentoring of a CEO.
Mm.
And very quickly, he started to teach me how he was thinking, and he was thinking very differently, acting very differently. And I think it's a feature of people who are in the top 1%. They generally do things differently. And I've learned from him for 4 years. And then I was like, I want more of that. So I got into other chief of staff roles to wonderful men and women, COOs, CEOs, CFOs in 3 different continents. And they all told me something different. And at the end of the day, I was like, how do I get that transformation? How do I get that experience to everybody, including the people who are starting out in the workplace and the managers that you said at the beginning? Like, would I?
Awesome, awesome. I love that. I love that. And so when you then started thinking about how do I do that, where did the idea of bringing AI into that come? Because you could have come up with other solutions, right? Let's offer so like a mentoring program, or get a team of coaches on board that we could access. How did it go from that thought to let's look at AI?
Well, the first version of Ignitus in my mind was some form of customized e-learning platform that would use like short form videos, but that would really get customized to you. Because I really hated going on, websites where you have 15 videos of 15 minutes on a topic and only 20% is of interest to you. So I was like, first, can we try to get the advice from those great experts, put them in video and customize it? And I sat on this idea and versions of this idea for at least 5 years. And then AI came in and I was like, it is perfect. What science shows is that in order to learn, you need to have emotions, you need to have trust, and you need to be active. And AI enables the 3 of that. You can have AI coaching conversations based on an expert's, knowledge, and be active at the same time. And that's where I felt, no, I need to try that.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. I love it. And obviously, AI is a hot topic for everyone right now. And there's so many different apps coming up. There's so many different ways that we can be using AI. And I think it's really interesting to be thinking about how do we use it to accelerate our growth rather than, the standard using ChatGPT or Claude to search and understand things. It's how can we be intentional about accelerating our growth within our careers. And that's why I love what you're doing with Ignitus. I guess one of the questions that I had initially when we first started working together, and I'm sure other people have as well, is what is the relationship between the AI piece and the experts? Like, where is the overlap, or where does the AI end and getting the insight from the experts begin? How does that currently work in the way that you structured things?
Jane, I think this is a question that you should ask to everybody who puts on their website, we have an AI coach. Because if you type on Google AI coaching, you're going to have like 40 of them. But most of them start with AI, and then they just have a really nice prompt and some context added to it. And then they say you have an AI coach. At Ignitus, our approach has been exactly the opposite. We started thinking, who are the kind of 9 to 10 people that if everybody had access to them, their life would change? What if you had a hostage negotiator to help you manage conflict? What if you had an expert well-being and stress management experts when you're super stressed after a day at work? How could it change your life? And we selected 10 people, and you're part of them, because I do believe that everybody should have an executive kind of coach presence behind them, especially when they're starting out. But the starting point has been human, and you know how we've worked together. we started saying, okay, these are some challenges managers have. How would you coach them through it? And we've used AI and short form video to replicate your coaching experience that everybody can access it without you being in the room. So at the end of the day, you have this AI coaching experience, which is basically ChatGPT meeting TikTok, where you have this AI conversation, the short form videos that come and build the trust, that bring some more emotion into it, and that create a very engaging experience. So it starts with the human and it merges into AI.
Yeah, I love it. And I think I didn't fully understand how it would all play out until we got started. And it was very much us behind the scenes going back and forth on, in these kinds of circumstances, when you've worked with the many people that you've coached, what would you say? And if they ask this, what would you say? And being able to, I guess, train the AI to make sure that you're giving personalized responses to people. So as they're going through and they are asking questions, they are getting exactly what would be said if they were in a coaching session with someone, which I think is incredible in terms of the way that you've done it. And talk more about how you make it so that it feels so personalized to the person that is using it.
Every month, we sit with our users and we show them a situation and we show them the answers of Copilot, of Gemini Think, and Ignitus. And we ask them to rank it. And then we ask them why they prefer so-and-so answers. And they rate Ignitus above the other two. So Copilot generally gets 3.1 out of 5, Gemini about 4, and Ignitus 4.5. And when we drill into the reason why, it's because the answers are far more specific and they're far more tailored to the user. One of the first thing we do when we onboard somebody on the platform is that we take them through a behavioral profiling assessment. So you discover a bit more about your personality style and how you're likely to behave under pressure, which means that then when you come up with a high pressure situation, we know how you're likely to behave and we can give you some specific advice. For instance, if you tend to be very direct under pressure and you need to give feedback, it will give you tips to tone it down and to be much more, playing ball with the other person rather than just talking at them. The other thing that we do is obviously we use all the conversation history that we have. So Ignitus learns with you, from you, grows with you, and is able to give you better advice next time because it knows what you've discussed the previous time. And then last but not least, and what's great with coaching in general, and I'm sure you do this with your client as well, because don't you get to know not only about them, but also the companies they work
in? Yeah.
Well, what we've done is we've allowed, HR managers to customize Ignitus with all the relevant information about the company, all the trainings that they've had. So Ignitus is aware of your company context as well. So when you get an answer, it is basically advice from the best experts, tailored to you, tailored to your company, and given in a very kind of proactive conversation.
So good. So good. So what's been most surprising for you in terms of how people have been engaging with the platforms? Because I know you kind of rolled this out with various different organizations and run pilot programs. When you're looking at the data and you're looking at how people are using it, what's been, either the most interesting or, surprising insights that have come for you?
Well, one of the things is you get to know what are the top 3 challenges people face in a business. And they seem to be, quite the same in every company, really. And the first one is about managing human conversations, difficult conversations. Number one topic coming up, whether it's with your boss, your colleague, or with a difficult team member that is stealing your chocolates in your drawer. you have tons of opportunities. Exactly. You have lots of opportunities to give feedback, and most people don't give feedback because they don't know how to do it, and then situations escalate and everything gets worse for everybody. Another thing that I realized is what people really need is help managing their stress. What they bring is high stress situations. However, they don't always label it that way because we don't feel really good about opening up about how we're feeling and how stressed we are. So one of the things we've had to work hard was not necessarily to give people what they always wanted which is a very simple method to give that feedback, but also to help them understand that they're stressed and understand how stress works and how they can become really good at controlling that stress. And that has been something we've learned from the user and then try to expand into some of the features that we have.
Love it. Love it. So, I mean, this sounds all positive and all good, right? And I know that there are many people who are on the skeptical side when it comes to AI and how we're using it or how it works. So let's talk a little bit about the limitations. So when it comes to kind of AI coaching and that real-time responsive approach, what are the limitations that you see, and what can't this type of approach replace?
I'm always very upfront when I talk about Ignitus that AI coaching is not coaching. It cannot replace coaching, and it shouldn't try to. Like, it's a very big mistake to do this. The reason coaching works is because you have 45 minutes with another human and you can build a bond of trust. They can read your emotional cues, and then they can ask you questions until you get the answer. That's what coaching is. Mm-hmm. What AI coaching is completely different. On AI coaching, you're on a digital platform. You have 5 minutes maximum, 5 to 10 minutes. So anything that is longer than 10 minutes first, it doesn't work.
Okay.
You're so used to using AI to actually ask questions that you feel really weird when AI asks you a question back. You don't want an AI to bombard you with questions. That would feel weird, right? And so you can't replicate like for like. Likewise, you can try to recreate the human experience by creating a very, human avatar, like a 3D avatar that just looks like a human. But if you look at the psychology and the science, the more realistic an avatar is, the more you distrust it. So it's very important to move away from trying to replicate coaching like for like and adapt it to the digital world. Because there are some things that AI can do that humans can't do, and that's why we focus on. If you give an AI access to your inbox, they can in 1 second learn more about your communication style than any communication expert in 1 hour. You can use AI to understand what people need without them asking for it, because you can analyze the data that you have. So you can read cues in a different way. And you can build trust by showcasing videos of experts, by making it very personal, by making it very confidential from a data perspective. So nothing that you're saying is going to leak out. And that's what we're focusing on, and not trying to replicate it like for like, because otherwise we'll end up doing what e-learning has done, which is to replicate all the challenges of the classroom experience where you just listen to somebody talking at you without being proactive. And that's not innovation.
Yeah. Love it. So good. And I will just say, if there's anyone who's watching that has any particular questions that you want to ask Ben, or that you have in relation to AI and how it works, feel free to put them in the comments. We will look and see if we can answer some towards the end. And if you're catching this on the replay, we can circle back and answer any questions that you have as well. So when you think about now, so many organizations are jumping on making sure that they are using AI in different ways, where do you see organizations getting it wrong in terms of using AI for the purpose of developing their leaders or developing their people? What do you feel like isn't working, and that people could be thinking about or doing differently?
I think there are some extremes to be avoided at all costs. There are still some organizations out there who are like, we're not gonna roll out AI. And I'm like, you have to. Like, it can be such a game changer at an individual level and at a collective level and at a business level that you just have to embrace it. Mm-hmm. But then it's also very dangerous to follow that mantra. Oh, we need to develop, to roll out AI because everybody does so. What I always say to the kind of people directors that talk to me is just start with basic questions. AI is a technology, and the technology can be used to solve problems. So let's just go back to your challenges. And so you ask this company, and they say, well, we've got a lot of attrition. Well, that's very interesting. Why do you have attrition? Because our managers don't have the difficult conversation. When they have an underperformer, they don't do anything with them. They don't know. And then they have situations that escalate because they're mishandled. okay, that becomes interesting, because if you have access to a tool like AI coaching, you can give them situational advice when they need it, reinforcing the best practices you have in your company, and give them access to expert advice at the same time. And AI becomes therefore an interesting solution. But you might have another way. If you are a 10-people organization and you're the HR director there, you can actually maybe coach everybody individually and give them your Slack. It might be the best option. So it always starts with those very questions. What are you trying to solve? Why are the current solutions not working? And then you start getting really good insights into what solutions you actually have to roll out.
Yes, I think that's so important. I think sometimes, especially when it's a new thing and people can be reactive and feel like, we need to do it ASAP. The focus is on using AI, right, in some way, shape, or form, rather than taking a step back, like you said, and assess what do we actually need, what are we trying to achieve, and what is the best way to achieve that, and starting with the end in mind, so that whatever solution you build, whether it's AI or not, it's going to be fit for purpose, because there's so many options out there. And that's why I think it's great that organizations like Ignitus will come in and do a demo and show you, this is what the software can do, this is how it can work, and then you're able to say, well, do we think this is what we need? This is going to help us to get to where we're trying to get to.
Yeah, and I would add that emotions are running high in businesses in general. And there's a lot of stress. Will AI take my job? If I don't roll out AI, what happens? And there's also some infighting as to who's rolling out AI. Is it IT? Is it operations? Is it HR? And it creates a bit more tension, which derives us from actually asking the right questions, I think.
Yes. And I think it is cross-functional, right? It can't just sit within one department. Like if you're rolling out something big, it has to be across departments. And so figuring out who are the key players and the stakeholders that need to be driving the project forward. But first and foremost, getting aligned on what is the project, what is the scope, what are we trying to do, what are the timelines, I think is super important. So Ben, where do you see things heading, say in the next 3 to 5 years, when you think about AI-powered solutions, AI-powered leadership development? I know it's really hard, because if we look back 3 to 5 years, the world has changed very much since that time. But when you're thinking about the trajectory and how things are going, what are you seeing or anticipating?
Well, I think we are used to AI being sitting nicely within specific applications, chatbots, etc. All those barriers are going to be, are going to disappear overnight in the digital world, and all the application will start to talk to one another. I think that's the one big thing that is coming. Is you're going to have AI connected to your calendar, to your email, to your HRIS system, to everything, even to your cooker at home. At some point, it's all going to get connected. And what that means specifically in the leadership development space is that you can start to think about, what does real-time augmentation look like? How do I help you when you have a problem without you actually having to ask for it? For the first year, we focused on Ignitus on answering, how do you replicate the coaching from the greatest experts and give access to everyone? The second question we're trying to answer is, how do you give the help that people need without them having to ask for it at the point of need? So how do you give effortless help to people? And that becomes possible because AI becomes intertwined with all your digital workflow. You can understand from one email that you're having a difficult problem with somebody, knows that in your calendar you have a meeting with them at 3 p.m. tomorrow, and then knows to send you a personalized insight as to how to deal with that conversation based on your expertise, for instance, Janine, directly to them. That's what AI will be able to do in the next couple of years. And then thinking beyond, AI will move into the 3D space. So it's going to be connected to all your devices as well. And I'm not entirely sure what that means yet.
Yeah. So as I hear you speak, I know there are some people that are freaked out by what you just described, like the fact that, AI can anticipate ahead of time. I see the benefit in it, but I also feel like sometimes, for example, Siri on my phone will just join my conversation sometimes, right? And just be like, inputting when I haven't asked, and I'm like, hey Siri, I didn't ask for your help. So the idea that AI can be like suggesting things, I guess there might be some people who are feeling a little bit like, is that intrusive? Do I even want that? What would you say to people who right now are feeling very skeptical about how AI is going to shift the way that we do things, and maybe not in a way that they want the shift to happen? Maybe they're just like, I like it how it is now, I don't want to shift. What are your thoughts?
I would say always be cautious and always be curious. If you don't think it's going to work, just try it on one or two times and then just disconnect it.
Yes.
But let's say that you use like Ignitus predictive system. What we're trying to do for starters is just to understand what is the help that people need once a week. So what is the biggest challenge you're facing this week? Can we help you with that biggest challenge? And if we are able to help you in one of these situations, providing you with an expert insight that actually alters the outcome of the conversation you're going to have, or helps you get your stress levels down 10x, or gets you get that promotion or that negotiation if you're negotiating your salary, for instance, then you'll be like, okay, well, actually, that was a good experience. And you want to do it again. I think if you give access to everything to everyone without knowing what you give access to and what's happening, that's another problem. And I would say it's important to understand before you give access to anything, what it's actually going to do. So at Ignitus, for instance, if we have access to your calendar or certain information, as soon as we've used them, we will not store them, we will delete them, so that we're not going to have any information you don't want, but we've helped you. And I think there's a lot of this calibration that needs to be able, and we're trying to input that into the product so that companies and individuals can set what they're happy with. But I guess the day you understand that Ignitus or any other tool can actually get you promoted, get you that conversation, and sort yourself out, you will start trusting it more. And I don't know for you, Jenny, but when AI came out a year ago, or like 3 years ago, we were like, okay, is that safe? Like, should I be doing it? And now it feels much more natural.
Yes.
Have you been through that?
Yeah, 100%. It's a process. At first, I was like, I can figure this out on my own. I don't want to have to ask an AI bot a question. And now I'm like, default, hey, help me think this through. Let's talk about this. Like, it's becoming more a part of how I do work, how I do life. And I think it is very much about a process and embracing the possibility. But I think like it's important for people to recognize that there are still controls in place. And, you know, the lawyer in me is always like, okay, what is ethical? What do we need to be thinking about? And all of those conversations are being had right now in terms of understanding the remit of AI and how we can make sure that we're controlling things. So just because you're unsure doesn't mean you don't need to explore it. It's just figuring out, how do I do it in a way that feels safe for me and that feels like I'm not giving all the information that I have without knowing where that information is going. So I think you raise a really valuable point in terms of that transition and getting to a place where you're, one, embracing, but then two, looking for the possibilities and how you can be using things going forward.
Yeah, and I think also, from you said at the beginning, you wanted people to understand a bit more, how should they use AI to grow? And I think there are a couple of mistakes that I see people do, which I think are far more consequential than actually activating like an AI on your agenda or your emails with Copilot, for instance. People who just use AI for everything often make the mistake of making themselves replaceable at the end of the day, because AI was built to predict what people want and to give it to them and to create shortcuts so that they don't have to think. And so when you use AI and it's giving you everything that you need to think and do and say, and you do that all the time, you bypass critical thinking. So I would say one of the best ways to use AI is to be counterintuitive, is to ask AI to ask you questions instead of providing you with all the answer. And that's one of the things we try to do, obviously, every time we either send a predictive insight or we have a discussion. We ask probing questions inspired by you and by the other coaches that we work with. And I guess the second mistake that they do, which I think is even more dangerous, is if you want to be good at something, learn to be good at it without using AI first, or actually the value of your work will always come from the AI, and you've made yourself replaceable. I think That's my golden rule. I never use AI for something I want to get good at, or I wait until I'm good and then I start using it.
Yes. Yes. I think that is so important. And I think if you think of it, even like when you have a new process and maybe you want to delegate, right? You want to delegate to an assistant or you want to delegate to someone else. Before you can delegate it, you kind of need to know how to do it yourself. You kind of need to think it through yourself. You need to understand how it all works. And then you're in a position to say, hey, can you help me with this part or can you do this part? And I think if you think about AI in a similar way, where it's like you do the heavy lifting in terms of the thinking and the strategy, and then maybe get it to help you to identify the blind spots or think about things in a different way. I think that's a much more sensible approach, because then, yeah, like you said, you don't lose the ability to think critically or to write clearly because you're always defaulting to AI. So I don't think the embracing of AI is saying, don't keep doing what you normally do. It's saying, do what you normally do, but how can your experience be enhanced or developed by using AI?
Absolutely. And I guess, for instance, if you want to get really good at writing blog posts, for instance, it is better to write 100 of them manually and have no one read them until some people finally do, because you've learned actually what works, what is your style. And if you let AI do it for you, anybody can do it. So anybody can replicate your style. But once you understand this, then you can start using AI to ideate or to replicate your style in a better paragraph. And that's where AI becomes super valuable, because you control the AI and the AI does not control you.
Yes, absolutely. Brilliant. So as there are so many different tools and platforms out there, and we can hear different things coming forward in the AI space all the time, what do you wish more people knew and understood about Ignitus and the way that you are building it, and the way the solution actually works for L&D managers and for people who are in charge of development and growth within organizations?
Yeah, I think it's I would say what people do not understand yet, because it hasn't been done, is what happens when you combine some form of longer term coaching with predictive insights and real-time augmentation. Because when you're with a coach, you can work on the long-term things. You can be proactive, thinking about, how will I get promoted? How do I 10x my executive presence? Because that's going to be very useful for my career. But then how do you complement it? By having, before your next board meeting or next time you have a big meeting in front of a lot of stakeholders, what if you had, oh, by the way, a little nudge before that? Remember, do this technique, try this to make your message land. And suddenly you have this reinforcement. And I guess a lot has been said recently about how you actually build lasting habits. And like James Clear's book is fantastic, right? Around creating micro habits. Well, that's how it works. You need to have the longer term piece and the real time piece. And the more people will start aligning both of those things, the more they will build like the skills and also the outcomes of the big important events that actually get you to where you want to go. So I came across a very interesting stat the other day. I think it looked at the difference between managers who have a coach and managers who don't have a coach. So what do you think, how much more likely are people to be promoted if they have a coach? Do you want to venture a guess?
I'm going to say 50%.
Well, you can add a 0 to that. You're 5 times more likely to be promoted if you have a coach. And fundamentally, it's also like, it resonates with my experience, because I was coach and I can see the acceleration in my life. But I think the stats, they actually show this. And what we're trying is to replicate that. And my biggest problem today is the fact that only 10% of managers have a coach. So you've got 90% of people who don't have that boost on that accelerator, and where AI coaching can step in. That's very close to my heart. Yeah.
So good. And it's so true. The impact of coaching is, the value is unmatched, right? When you can, in my experience, when I've worked with someone over a short period of time, you can see the person that came into coaching and the person that is leaving the coaching container is two different people. And so I think having the opportunity to offer support in a different way to more people is so impactful, because the fact that 90% of people who need it don't have access to it, it means that there's a knock-on effect for organizations, because the reality is people often leave because of bad management. They leave because their manager is not good. And often managers are not good because they haven't had access to either training, development, or coaching. So having a tool that allows them to have that access at scale is fantastic. So Ben, what's next? Like, I know you kind of had the initial phases or an initial phase for Ignitus, and then recently launched Ignitus 2.0. What's next? What's next for the platform? And if there's somebody who is in HR or L&D who is intrigued by the platform, where do they go to connect with you and find more about maybe getting a demo or getting more insight?
Well, I guess we're trying to get ever closer to the challenges that L&D managers are facing, which is oftentimes they provide excellent training, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work on the long run because it lacks that reinforcement. So we're thinking, how can we integrate this better to the training that your company gives you? And then so it gets reinforced and you actually have the benefit on the long run. So that's a very big part. How do we make it ever more effortless? We're thinking about some features where you can actually bring Ignitus into your meetings or show the transcripts of your meeting to Ignitus, who can provide you with amazing feedback, raising awareness of what you could do better without the awkwardness of a human actually doing it with you. And we're thinking about, okay, how do we make it super easy to start surfacing those things, those little gems that you don't know about yourself, about your own, your own way of communicating, for instance. And so over the next couple of months, we're really into a learning phase. We want to get as much feedback as possible. So, I'd be actually very happy to provide everybody listening in to access to Ignitus for 1 month if they want to. Maybe we can set up a little link
Yes.
on LinkedIn if people want to, and get some feedback to understand, does that combination work out for you? Because if it does, I guess the next step will probably be, how do we get into proper real-time augmentation? Meaning, how do I give you advice while you're doing something, not just before or after? I'm super keen to see what would happen if you have the longer-term piece, the short-term piece, and the real-time piece. That's my big question for the next 9 months.
Amazing. I absolutely love it. Listen, we will absolutely put a link together. So if you're listening to this and you are interested in getting access to Ignitus and learning more about the platform, just put access in the comments, whether you're listening live or on the replay, and then we can reach out to you and send you the link so that you can sign up and get access. Ben, this has been so good, so good to have you share. I'm super excited to be part of this amazing initiative, movement, however we want to call it. And I will just say, if you are, tuning into this live stream for the first time, I didn't say at the beginning or introduce myself. So my name is Janine Esbrand, and I am a career strategist and an executive coach. And I'm really committed to supporting people in their career and leadership development journey. So I was honored when Ben asked me to be one of the experts that was sharing knowledge and insights behind the scenes at Ignitus, so that the AI bots, or whatever we want to call them, can do what they do and bring that knowledge to end users. You can tell that I'm not well versed in the world of AI, which is why I have friends like Ben. And yeah, it's just been awesome to see how it's been built and the care and dedication that has gone into every single interaction on the back end by Ben and his team. So if this is interesting to you, I would absolutely recommend that you get yourself some access to the platform to see how it might support you, your teams, your organizations going forward. So just wanted to say that. So Ben, where is the best place for people to find you? I know we're on LinkedIn now, so they can connect with you here, but is there anywhere else that you want to send them?
Look, if they want to have a look, ignitus.app. It doesn't have yet our latest description of the predictive insights part, but you can find a lot about who are our coaches, what it is, what you can expect, how it can help you. So feel free to contact me, yes, on LinkedIn or ignitus.app. That's the best way to start. And I would add, for anybody who's listening in and who really loves Janine's work, You can actually, on Ignitus, get some micro-coaching sessions based on Janine's expertise on how to find out more about your values, how to work on your executive presence, your personal brand. Like, I would highly recommend it. And I know some of the videos specifically are top trending on this. So thank you so much, Janine. And I wish everybody will soon get in touch with your coaching on a more personal basis.
Thanks for the plug, Ben. Thanks for the plug. Yes, you can absolutely access, through the platform, my insights, and then so many other amazing experts as well. The team of experts that Ben put together are absolutely incredible. So definitely check. Thanks for your time, Ben.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Hey, ambitious woman, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds to follow the show and share it with someone who may be quietly rethinking their next chapter? Also, please leave a review. It really helps this message reach more ambitious women ready for career clarity. And it lights me up to know that this podcast is helpful to you. Until next time, go and take one strategic step forward, and I'll meet you back here in a few days for another episode. Let's keep building.